We're joined by Tadeusz Kościński, who is the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Development Funds and Regional Policy, which are actually two separate ministries. Minister Kościński, thank you very much for joining us. I think Richard will just have an introductory question to start with.
Hello, Minister. Thanks very much for joining us. Last time we met, obviously, we were looking forward this year to celebrating 30 years of continuous growth for Poland. Obviously, a lot of challenges since then globally in terms of the health crisis. So how do you see the prospects for the economy in 2021?
Yes, last time I talked, we were basically in a different universe. In 2019, we reduced over 3 years, so 2017 to 2019, the public debt by 8%. We came into this year with the first balanced budget since 1989. And here we are at the end of the year, we're going to have the biggest deficit in our 30 years history, our first recession. So how things have just totally changed. 2021, I think we'll be going back on our normal tracks and rebuilding the economy. So I'm quite confident that we've managed to understand how to cope with the pandemic. Lessons have been learned, but also time is doing its work. That first of all, the number of people being infected is increasing. We have about 20 to 30,000 per day, which means that a significant portion of the population will have had the virus within the next 6 months. So we'll have the immunity from that point of view, but also the vaccine. There's a number of vaccines coming on the market. So hopefully by the midsummer that we'll be talking about the past when it comes to the virus and the economic consequences.
Minister, just in terms of the international investment environment, and particularly obviously looking at real estate and infrastructure investment, how do you see that for Poland going forward? Are you positive in terms of the outlook?
Well, I'm positive. First of all, the economy, how it's growing. I think we're forecast to have a 4.6% recession. That's coming from the Ministry of Finance, and obviously we have to be very conservative because that's the limit. All the public finances are built on that, so we can't be too optimistic. We have to be relatively conservative, and so 4.6%, and that's a relatively low recession for Europe. I think only one or two countries are anywhere close to us. The average is about 9% for this year. And for next year, we're forecasting a 4% growth. So around about this time next year, so towards the end of the year, we should have zeroed off the effects of the pandemic. Now, to put it, maybe it's easier to put it, this year we're going to contract by 4.6%. Last year we expanded by 4.6%. So we're just going back 2 years. Now the average for the EU is going back 5 years. For France it's 10 years, and God bless the Italians, they're going back 25 years. So that puts Polish economy into perspective. So we'll be one of the first economies which will be back on track, back into a positive territory, and hopefully we'll benefit from the change that we expect to have in the global supply chains. That Poland will be one of the winners. Now, some of the sectors that we're hoping to gain, of course, is pharmacy, IT. But also shared services. We're one of the leaders in shared services, and shared services will continue to push the real estate market for us, which has done over the last 15 years. Most of the cities, because of the demand for new office space, the good quality jobs, so people are buying houses and flats, has developed the real estate side. Also the manufacturing, that's an interesting one. Poland, I think, and I think the Czech Republic were the only two countries which reported a positive manufacturing production index this month. So it shows that manufacturing in Poland is also coming out of the recession very, very quickly, which will also drive the real estate. So I think the real estate will be positive. Of course, we have to remember will the real estate post-pandemic be the same real estate as pre-pandemic? We had in Poland the office space, the boom in office space, etc. But now with most companies, which even 6-9 months ago, which we were thought was not possible, now with working from home, there's a lot of discussion about the office space. Is the office space the amount required is not going to be a different type of requirement for real estate. So this is something which we'll see if it's one of the fallouts of the pandemic will be real estate will change, IT will change, and the medical sector will change.
We talked to some key figures in the real estate market, both Polish and international, to ask them what's on their minds, what questions they would want to ask. So I have a few from them. First of all, why has the real estate industry been excluded from the COVID rescue funds, since COVID has affected revenue streams, obviously of landlords? You look at the retail sector, for example, shopping centres, they're suffering hard and they're not being part of the COVID rescue funds. Why is that?
My understanding of shopping malls is that they have leases with their tenants, and whether the tenants have business or not, they still get income. Because that's something that's being brought up by the shops themselves. That's the shops. We've closed down the shops. The customers can't go into the shops to buy goods and services, but they still have to pay their rent. So we need to analyze this a bit more. That what really is happening is are the galleries having a problem because they're not having the income? My understanding is they have the income. Or is it the shops having a problem that they're having to pay lease without the retail income? So there's no specific strategy against shopping malls or anything like that. It's just part of the fallout, and perhaps they've dropped between two stools for some reason. That if there is a problem, they haven't made us aware of that, and so I'd be delighted for them to make contact with us and give us their side of the story and see what we can do. They have, of course, had benefit because quite often, of course, the real estate is leveraged, and the banks have actually given credit holidays, etc. So have had benefit there. But if there are cases of that we're missing, then we're delighted. That something which I'm trying to do in the Ministry of Finance is change the way we work. The Ministry of Finance is not perceived as a ministry which is there to take in tax, but really that we're working for the population and we're helping the population. So we have a regular dialogue with business, and we listen to business. In fact, most of the financial shields that we have implemented in Poland have been from discussions with business. The business has told us what is required. It's not us as the civil servants have decided. So it's if there is a problem on the shopping gallery front, shopping mall, then I invite people to let me know, and let's see what we can do.
Second question is about very familiar question about the REIT legislation, real estate investment trusts. As you know, this comes up a lot. Poland is well behind, all other countries on this. And the reason seems so clearly beneficial that you have local capital, that it brings liquidity, it allows the average man, woman, company on the street to invest. It means local projects which might not ordinarily go ahead with international financing can get local financing. And of course, in hard times when international capital could potentially go elsewhere, the local capital stays. Why is nothing moving forward? Or more importantly, what are the plans for REITs going forward? Is something going to happen?
I think so. A very good question. Thank you for that. I think we're developing the Polish capital market. We have a strategy for that, a plenipotentiary in place who's actually developing that. I think REITs will be part of that. We should be actively looking at REITs. We can see that there's a significant amount of liquidity in the Polish market. At the moment, it's being drawn into government bonds. I think 80% of our financing of Polish debt is actually coming from the Polish market. So, and the retail sector is a prime investor at the moment, so one of the major investors. So obviously, there's a lot of funds, and people are chasing good opportunities. A lot of people and a lot of small companies which I talk to are looking at investment opportunities, and they seem to be investing in property, so buying flats, apartments, and holiday homes, which they then rent out. So they're going to that business. So obviously, it's a market that there's a demand there and not sufficient supply. So I think Reits is obviously something which we should be looking at to see if we can include that in the number of products that we have to increase the capital markets in Poland.
Is there goodwill towards Reits from the government? Because it doesn't seem to be the case.
I don't think there's bad will, that's for sure. It's really, again, something that there's so many other things on our topic at the moment, on our plate at the moment, that nobody's actively looking at that. And it's an important topic, but it's not the top of agenda, and perhaps it should become the top of agenda. Again, it's the industry. If it makes sufficient noise, then things go on the top of the agenda. So I advise the industry to make sufficient noise, and then we'll be looking at it more quickly.
This is a question about taxation, that obviously international investors need stability and they don't like surprises. And then there's a plan for the amendment to the Act on Corporate Income Tax, which is coming into force on May 2021, which I understand means that there will be double taxation, so the taxation of limited partnerships in terms of corporate income tax, but also on dividends. So effectively, as I understand it, there will be double taxation going up from around 19% or so to around 35%. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that, but there is a lot of concern on the real estate market about that.
Okay, it's well, first of all, we have no plans in Poland to increase taxes. So funding of our public debt and going forward would not be from increasing taxes. The tax that you're talking about is not a new tax. It's that we're applying tax to these companies because an operation is formed where you have a limited company, which you have under a limited company you have to pay corporate tax, and then when you get the dividend, you pay your personal income tax. Now, what's happened in Poland with these they're called komandytowe in Poland companies, that they're aimed at having an investor who is a passive investor and doesn't take any responsibility for the liabilities of the company. And what suddenly happened in Poland is that, and he doesn't pay tax, is that in that and the other investor obviously pays taxes. We've suddenly found that a lot of tax advisors are telling people, well, put in as one of the investors a limited company, which then limits your liability, and don't give him 50% of the profits, but just give him 1% of the profits. So it's really a tax evasion tool. And so we're really clamping down on tax evasion because we think with a recession and going forward, it's very, very important that everybody has a level playing field. So we can't allow, if you have a limited company, you're paying taxes, you're paying corporate tax, you're paying private personal income tax. But if you do some financial engineering, you're evading tax, taking advantage. That's unfair for the market. And that's basically what we're doing, is we're closing down that loophole. It's something which the OECD has said that 5-6 years ago that most countries or all countries in Europe should be doing that. And I think most countries already have closed that loophole. It's something that we haven't done so far. We need to do that now.
Are you also open to hear from the real estate market why they think it should be differently?
Yes, of course. So we're as I said, we're not looking to extract more tax from the market to finance the public debt. What we're doing is trying to level the playing field, and to show that what we're encouraging companies is to invest in Poland. So we're bringing in from January what the so-called Estonian Corporate Tax, which basically means if you're investing, you don't pay any corporate tax. And this is something that the real estate also should be looking at to see if that's not the solution for them to increase the amount of investment and not paying a tax up front.
That's interesting, Minister. Just looking at the I suppose some of the incentives for international investors to come into Poland. Is that both from I suppose a real estate investor as well as an occupier side?
Yes, it's a part of the strategy which we haven't yet publicized. It will be publicized mid-December. The new support for the Polish economy will actually be aimed at international investors to come into Poland, so that we already have a lot of products which are good for international investors, like the whole of Poland's investment zone, which we brought in, I think, 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. We have various other products like the IP box. So if you do your research and development in Poland and you register your product in Poland, then you only pay 5% corporate tax worldwide forever on that. So there are these products, but we're also going to, I don't want to give out too many secrets at the moment, but we're looking to offer as much as possible to international investors to invest in Poland, and also for Polish people who live abroad to come back to Poland and to work here in Poland. So we'll be giving various tax breaks there. We'll be giving tax breaks to companies who will be investing not only in real estate, but also by employing, when they employ people, especially key so IT staff, etc., specialists, they'll be able to also have tax breaks there. So I think there'll be lots of interesting benefits for actually investing in Poland.
Thanks very much for joining us, Minister, and also for sharing your views more generally on the market, but also particularly for the real estate sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Minister.
Take care. Thank you.